Hey friends, it's Jackeline here. Today is a day for Chanel. I will be doing a full day wear test on the Reformulated Ultra Le Teint Foundation as well as the long wearing corrector and concealer. In addition to that, I also got one of the new shades of the Rouge Allure Laque. But before we get started, and if you're new here, I hope that you can give me that opportunity and subscribe to my channel. Make sure you ring that post notification bell so you don't miss any of my uploads, and come and follow me on my Instagram. And now, if you want to know all the details about the reformulation of the foundation, concealer, corrector, all the details about this product, how it wears on dry, sensitive skin, mature skin over 40, then just keep on watching. Today I'm coming barefaced because I will be doing a full day wear test of the Reformulated Chanel Ultra Le Teint Foundation as well as the Longwear corrector and also the concealer. And I have to say right here that this was a surprise to me because one of my SAs at Chanel told me that these were not reformulated, that they were just adding more shades. But then I heard from another SA saying, well, there's some minimal reformulation, it's not that much. And I'm like, okay, so what's the truth right here? And I said, you know what, let me just place an order. And I went ahead and placed the order for these goodies. And I also placed an order for one of their new shades of Rouge Allure Laque. These liquid lipsticks that they are just so beautiful. So I'm going to be trying all of these, doing the wear test and whatnot. Now, if you're new here, welcome to my channel and welcome to all of you guys. Thank you for tuning in today. I do have a light to medium skin tone, dry skin on the perimeters of my face, sensitive skin, normal skin on this area, and large pores on this area. I'm on my 4th floor and I do have signs of aging, so a lot of fine lines under my eyes, also right here, you know, just aging, simple aging, and I do have very dark under eye circles. Now, looking into the reformulation, it seems like they had added a little bit more of like emollient ingredients or moisturizing ingredients. Now, this will not make it of a total and complete like dewy foundation or glowy foundation. It will remain matte, or at least I hope so in a way, because obviously for a person that has been using this foundation for a long time, I mean, you don't want to receive something completely different. But we're going to see how it sets on my skin right now. And the ingredient list is very minimal. Now, what we have seen from Chanel is that they are reformulating many of their products in a way to just become cleaner, to have ingredients that are more beneficial to the skin, and also to actually expand your shade range, which that has happened with this foundation. Now there are 35 different shades and there's many of them that they are in the deepest spectrum, which I'm really happy to hear of. Now this foundation is made in France and it has a shelf life of 12 months. Right off the back here on the ingredient list, the first ingredient is water, then we have dimethicone, we have glycerin, which is a great moisturizing ingredient. We do have magnesium sulfate, which also is really good for the skin, mostly if you have dry skin. At the very bottom, almost to the very end, there is perfume, and that's very typical for Chanel and for most luxury makeup. By the way, I will be leaving all the details of my makeup, the products that I'm using today on the description box below for your convenience. I'm using the shade B40. The package has remained the same. This is the frosted glass. On the top has the Chanel logo and then it has the pump. To do my full day wear test, usually I prime my skin on one side and then the other side I leave it as is. So let's do that. I'm just going to use the Tatcha, this liquid silk canvas, right on my large pores area. Now let me show you the consistency of the foundation. It's not super thick, as you can tell it's thin. It's not super runny, so it's not super liquidy. I'm gonna be applying this foundation on a beauty blender. This is brand new one. My pore sponges, they were like really bad condition, and I'm using about 1/4 of a pan right now. I do have a lot of freckles and some sunspots. before I jump into corrector and concealer, I'm gonna go ahead and swatch the Ultra Le Tan foundation along with the Beige foundation, and I have here the Sublimage on my hand, and I'm gonna go ahead and do it in that order. They are all in the shade B40, and I'm gonna do that so that way you can actually see the finish of the foundation. Oh my goodness, I have a little bit of an explosion right here. What's going on? Oh my gosh, my foundation is just exploding right now. Okay, this is the Beige right in the middle, and then right here I have the Sublimage, the Essence du Teint. Okay, now let's let it dry, and then we'll see and compare the finishes. Okay, my friends, now as far as the color corrector goes, I got it in the shade Peche, and it has a shelf life of 6 months, and it's made in France. Now I'm gonna use the color corrector just on one side of my face, on this under eye area, so that way you guys can see if there's any benefit, which I usually use color corrector no matter what, even with my Pat McGrath concealer. I like to pat the color corrector into place. As you can tell, it really helped to cancel out a little bit of my under eye circles, and I say a little bit because as you can tell I have more. I have very dark under eye circles like no other, and it's a non-drying formula. Now this color corrector comes in 4 different shades. Peche, which is more for canceling dark blue hint under eye circles. Vert, which is a green tone, and that one helps if you have redness. There's also Apricot, which is more of like an apricot shade, and then as well a rosé shade. And now going into the concealer. So for the concealer, I got a shade lighter than my foundation shade, so this is in the shade B30. Now during fall and winter time, my shade on foundations for Chanel is B30 usually, but I mean I can still pull off B40. It's not like a huge difference for my skin tone at least. Okay, my friends, and here's the packaging. Same thing, 6 months shelf life, made in France. Now main difference right here with this concealer, the first ingredient has changed. Now it's octidoldecanol, which is a fatty alcohol, and that being said, this is not about alcohol. In fact, it's an alcohol that brings moisture, that is actually more beneficial for those of us that we have dry skin, more mature skin under the eyes, or you know, on the face, wherever you want to use your concealer. So that's something good to know right here. It also has glycerin, and glycerin is a good moisturizing agent too. There's glycol, there's magnesium aspartate, zinc gluconate, copper gluconate. I mean, there's a lot of beneficial ingredients in here that actually bring more moisture to the skin. So I'm curious to see how this is gonna be on my you know, fine lines and whatnot, because of what I remember of this concealer was a very natural looking concealer, not too shiny, not too, you know, like super dewy, not super matte, not super drying. And perhaps the reason that I had it on my collection on and off is because I do have such dark under eye circles, and this concealer right here has more of like a medium coverage, light to medium. I mean, like you can do medium, but it's not a full coverage, and usually I try to look for full coverage concealer. But anyhow, friends, let's go ahead and give it a go right here. Again, I have here the shade B30, which is a little bit lighter. That way you can brighten it up, the under eye area. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it right here so you can do an immediate comparison, the corrector versus the concealer alone. As you can tell, the concealer for many of you will be more of a medium coverage, but if you have really dark under eye circles, it will be a light coverage for you. Okay, now let's give it a go and let's try it over top the color corrector. As you can tell, there's definitely more coverage. Now I'm just gonna build up a little bit the concealer on this side. There you go, this is how it's looking like right now. The color corrector, concealer, foundation. I don't know if you're able to tell, but the concealer and the color corrector, they don't look dewy, but they look more natural. I will say, you know, it looks, there's not much difference on what it was before. I feel that as far as pigmentation goes, as far as finish goes, it looks pretty much as before. And then as far as the foundation goes, I mean, it had to start setting a little bit more on the powdery side, and there's no much transfer. Yeah, so pretty much set. I mean, like, it feels just a little bit sticky right there, but not too much. But definitely, if you have enlarged pores like I do, you need a pore minimizer primer with this foundation, because it doesn't emphasize them, but because of the finish is more there. Now, given it right here that I still have a long day to go through, it's gonna be warm today, so we will see how it looks throughout the day with, you know, like when I break a sweat, the natural oils come through, you know, environmental factors and whatnot. I will speed up this process. I'm gonna start applying my makeup. I will definitely show you my new lipstick in a second, so let's just make this a little bit faster. Chanel has also added 6 more shades to their Rouge Allure Laques, and I decided to pick up one. This is in the shade Beige Confidentiel. Package is the same. When these launched last year, I did a full-on review. I had several shades swatched, so if you want to take a look at it, go ahead. So I was really excited about these new additions. I wish though that they could have been a little bit more of like neutral tones. There's a lot of reds again, but here you go. This is perhaps one of the most neutral from this specific line. And actually, I really love these liquid lipsticks. It's a long wearing lipstick that it really doesn't dry, and it has such a thin formula, and it's not matte either. It's more like a satiny finish. Oh, this is more orange than I was expecting. Huh. But such a beautiful shade. I mean, this is a really good shade now for summertime as we transition into fall. Definitely, I don't see anything beige about it. It has more of a terracotta orangey undertone, which I love. You know, guys, I just did it, I mean, like perhaps 2 weeks ago, my favorite 5 orange lipsticks, but this shade is actually beautiful. As you were able to notice, I didn't set my concealer, I didn't set the rest of my face, I haven't applied any highlighter. The blush that I use It's not a satin blush. It's not super matte either, but it doesn't give extra luminosity to the face, and I did it for a purpose. Also, I'm not putting any setting spray right now. So let's take a look at the foundation. Again, we see a little bit of that setting, a little bit on the, I shouldn't say on the powdery side. I think the changes that they made to the formulation, it makes of this foundation a little bit more natural. There's still that mattifying effect, but it doesn't bother me at all. I mean, this is something that I can get away with really well. And what I really love about this concealer from Chanel, that I have always loved, is that you really do not have to set it, and it really doesn't crease under the eyes. It's not gathering on my fine lines. I mean, it's looking fairly good. As you can tell from the get-go, even with the corrector, it didn't give me that full coverage. It's definitely for a person that doesn't have these dark under eye circles, I will say a medium coverage for me, a light, closer to medium coverage. Okay, my friends, so far I really like everything. I don't feel anything tight or anything like that. Now, another thing that I want you to know right here is that I film in natural light. I do have two big lights on the side and one on the back, but they are pointing towards the back because my background, there's no light on my right here on this room. There's just no light, so everything is pointing that way and not on my face. And then in front of me there's a huge screen door, so I think that's important for you to know. I will be doing obviously some check-ins throughout the day in natural light, so that way you can see it. And going now into the swatches that we did a little bit ago. So I have right here the new Ultra Le Tan foundation. Here is the Beige, and this is the Sublimage L'Essence du Teint. All of these shades are B40. So as you can tell, the Ultra Le Tan is matte. This one here, Le Beige, is more radiant, while the Sublimage L'Essence du Teint, it has a natural radiant finish with just a dash of glow. It's not super glowy, it's not super dewy to the point of like, oh, you're looking sweaty. No, but definitely out of all of these ones, that Ultra Le Tan is the one that looks the most matte. But you know what, it doesn't look like a dry matte. It actually looks very, it's matte, but more of like a natural matte, you know, like a more skin-like, a little bit more on the matte side, but not your typical matte foundations that look like very cakey. In fact, it's very thin in formulation, a little bit, as you were able to tell by my application, goes along the way. So anyhow, friends, now, you know, to go out and about for my day, I need some fragrance. So I'm using Chanel Beige. This is such a beautiful one. Just need a little. It's about 8:40 in the morning, so I will be giving you a midday check-in and then to my final thoughts. So stay tuned. It is about 1:27. So anyhow, here we do a check-in. I do have the mask. So there you go. Mask is out. Let me show you here. Transfer. So there's minimal transfer right there of the lipstick, a little bit of the foundation, and I had been wearing this mask for at least 2 hours and a half. I had to do many things, and so it has been here for a while. And honestly, you know, like, the foundation hasn't removed. It looks pretty nice. I mean, obviously the mask kind of creates a little bit of that humidity, or, you know, like moist under. I know you don't like the word moist, but that's what it does, you know, with the breath on this area right here. And the foundation hasn't moved. I mean, like, you can see that I had, look, a little bit of a sweat right there. You can see my enlarged pores fairly clear too. Right here is a little bit less because I have the touch, the silk canvas. There's still a little bit of showing, but you know, this is normal. The foundation is not emphasizing that at all. And then as far as my forehead, where is my driest area, I mean, the foundation hasn't really per se settled to the fine lines right here, but it's not emphasizing them. I mean, like, it looks pretty normal to me. Now, talking about the corrector and concealer, as you can tell, here's where I applied just the concealer, and you can see that the coverage is so light that you can already see my dark circle like popping in after so many hours. But the concealer really hasn't gathered much on those, you know, fine lines. I mean, just the minimum, you know, the normal. This is normal. This is not like excessive or looking, you know, like extra, you know, creepy or, you know, like aging. And this area here where I have the color corrector, my dark circle still is peeking through, not a whole lot, but it's there, not as much as this area here. So definitely, you know, using the combination of corrector and concealer, it helps. But this tells you how much coverage you get with the concealer. It's thin, it doesn't age you, it's, you know, fairly good. And then yeah, so the rest of the foundation is not wearing much. I mean, like, I feel like this is a pretty good foundation. Oh, and by the way, look at the foundations right here. Do you see the top one is the Ultra Le Teint foundation. I have washed my hand, and I mean, like, it's pretty much waterproof because I have washed my hand with, you know, soap, and it's still there. You can see a little bit of trace of, say, the other two foundations. Yeah, so I mean, that talks pretty good about all the foundations in general from Chanel, but this one, you know, is long wearing, definitely long wearing. Okay, my friends, I will give you a final check-in in a few hours from now. And oh, and you see this lipstick, I love it because it's thin formulation. I would suggest just apply it once to not overbuild, but it's such a good formulation for lipstick, and it's not super matte. It does have a lot of pigment though, and it's not dry. Okay, friends, I will continue with my day, and then I will give you my final check-in, some final thoughts in a little. It is right now 4:42. It has passed already a solid 8 hours, and it's time for me to give you my final thoughts about this foundation, concealer, and color corrector. So the foundation honestly hasn't changed much. If perhaps something that I will have to say is that it's just a little bit more moisturizing than what it used to be before, but just for a tiny bit. I mean, like, if you were to try them side by side, I'm sure you will not, yeah, you perhaps will not even see the difference. I mean, like, honestly, they were able to keep the foundation finish as it used to be. I will have to say, this foundation for me, I do have dry skin on this area right here. I will have to use a primer that is a little bit more moisturizer, more emollient. It's not drying by any means, but it has that, it's not powdery in it. But on this area right here where I use the mask and where I usually, I mean, like, these are my normal areas right here and right here, the foundation looks just as is described, a soft matte foundation. It looks beautiful. This area right here looks amazing. My driest area and my problem area is always my forehead right here, and it doesn't look bad because it hasn't gathered, but I will say I will perhaps like to use a little bit of, like, more of like a moisturizer primer, or even something, you know, along these lines right here. I mean, it's a foundation that is really pretty. For being a soft matte foundation, it's not only pretty, but it's also lightweight. It's so long wearing, you know. And Chanel doesn't do, I mean, at least on their website, there's no claims about being waterproof, but I promise you guys, I have washed my hands several times throughout the day. I mean, like, I have been washing dishes and it it doesn't come off. I mean, like, you need a makeup remover to take it off. And honestly, very much what I would call pretty much a transfer resistant foundation. There's no claims about it. And hey guys, I haven't even powdered this foundation at all. I mean, you saw me, no powder, no setting spray, you know, just, I mean, very simple, just to see how the foundation will go throughout the day. Today was really warm. We went up to the 82 degrees, and, you know, I don't want to say I was breaking a sweat, but it was, you know, you felt the heat. And that being said, I was living in Florida for the first portion of this year. This foundation will look stunning on any type of different climate than California, where it's more humid, you know, like in Florida or, you know, the East Coast, because that humidity level will bring a little bit more of like radiance to the skin. But yeah, it's a beautiful foundation. And you know what, it's a foundation that, for being soft matte on that matte category, if you have dry skin, it's not gonna bother you because it's not tagging, it's not, you know, some foundations sometimes they feel like really a mask. This one right here has enough hydration, moisture, you know, like it just feels good to wear. It's just such a perfecting foundation, beautiful for special occasions, I think, and also if you're gonna take photographs, really good foundation for that. Going into the color corrector and concealer right here, just as I remember, these products right here are those that you don't really need to set and they don't gather on the fine lines, and if you find any type of gathering, I mean like by tapping in with your finger and the warmth of your finger, it will go away. This is a problem that is my problem, that I have set under eye areas and very dark under eye circles. So for me, it's just hard to, you know, like hide them and correct them and, you know, camouflage them. It's just harder for me. But if you are a person that do not have these big, I mean like you saw me when I apply these products right here. If you don't have that problem, these are one of the best concealers and color correctors in the market. I mean, hands down, really good. And to be honest with you, to me, it hasn't changed much. I mean, of what I remember, you know, it's that same beautiful concealer that you're able to, you know, unset it and go for your day. You know, like very nice. It's not too creamy, it's not too matte, it doesn't look powdery, it doesn't age. I mean, Chanel really have done a really great job at maintaining the finish of the products, the longevity of the products as they were formulated first, but now with more beneficial ingredients, which to me, that is a huge plus. So I will definitely, if you were looking for a soft matte foundation that looks very natural, that is very lightweight and long wearing and honestly flawless, you know what, if you have tried the Air Flash Flawless Filter Foundation from Charlotte Tilbury and you felt that is too heavy, but you like the finish that it gave you at first, you know, like you were like, ooh, this is a perfect finish, but then you're like, oh no, this is too heavy, no, I'm not sure. Well, this will give you the best of both worlds. Overall, obviously, I'm really happy with my purchase and I will recommend it to you guys 100%. These are beautiful products. And then the lipstick, I have reviewed before and done a, you know, full day wear test, but this is after eating 2 meals. I mean like a snack, a yogurt, and then a full-on meal, brushing my teeth, being with a mask, and this is a stain. I haven't reapplied it all day long. Haven't reapplied because I had a busy day with the kids and running errands. Okay, my friends, and I think this makes it for this video. I would love to know from you, have you been a long time user of the Ultra Le Temps foundation from Chanel, a lover of the concealer and corrector? Have you tried the new formulation? What do you think about it? You know, let's just continue the conversation on the comment section down below. And while you're at it, and if you haven't done so yet, I hope that you can give me that opportunity and subscribe to my channel. Make sure you're in that post notification bell so you don't miss any of my uploads, and come and follow me on my Instagram. If you like this video, do not forget to give it a thumbs up. Also share with family and friends, and until the next time, I hope you have a beautiful, wonderful day. Bye-bye.